Yeah, so first we'll start with persistent homology. We will read this paper. I will send the link on the group. This is just an introduction, and after that we will code it and we will try it with some basic data sets. After that, we will try a different version that we're going to do called resistant homology, and it's a resistant homology. Like, I'm making it up. We're going to do it. It's basically persistent homology backwards. So for persistent homology, you start with completely disconnected points, and then you slowly connect them, and then you find the perfect radius. Then it's all good, right?
Yeah.
For resistant homology, we're going to start with a completely connected graph. Then we're going to slowly decrease the radius until this thing. So the idea is that in persistent homology, around each point, each open ball has the same radius, right? So in resistant homology, we're going to basically for the entire graph to be connected, every point needs to have every point needs to be at least as far as the furthest point from it. Like, say this point is here, the radius needs to be at least that far. However, because of that, every point may have a different radius. So the idea is that we're going to, instead of increasing the parameter r, we're going to have some scaling factor that scales all of these different radiuses down. And so the what?
Scale it down.
Yeah, exactly. So we would probably have something like epsilon or something. We're going to scale epsilon down. We're going to find one we're going to basically, the same way how we decide for a perfect value of r, we're going to decide for a perfect value of epsilon, and with that we're going to see if we can find the dimension of MNIST. So by this month we will try to code persistent homology for I don't know which data sets we should try, but we'll see and we'll learn how to do that. Then we will start resistant homology. So for us to go from persistent homology to resistant homology, the only thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to change the parameter r to epsilon, and we're going to have to assign a radius to each vertex. Then for the initial condition, we make it so that all the radius of each point is the minimum, so that it's the minimum size, so that it's all completely connected.
Because paper over.
Huh?
Can you send that paper though?
Yeah. So
I can send it after the meeting.
This is the first paper I found. I'll send it on the link on the GC.
Yeah, the GC one.
Cool, sent it. So for persistent homology, that will be our start. And then from persistent homology, like I was saying, right, we need to assign a radius to each of these points. And the epsilon part, we leave it on its own. We do the exact same thing as persistent homology as before. So the epsilon is just unbothered.
Okay.
However, each point is going to have its own radius. We're going to scale it down and we're going to find that perfect scaling, and hopefully that should tell us more than persistent homology decay, because now we have heterogeneous shrinking and scaling. So points are
What you were talking about. Do you have any resources for that?
What?
The second one you were talking about.
Uska paper, no, because I don't know how to describe it in a way that I find papers on it. It's for me, most of the time, this is an issue I have a lot, right? I'll have an idea, but I don't know how to describe it so that I can find other papers. So I can never be sure if someone's already done it.
Why don't you just ask
What?
describe it well enough. If you ask, AI should have some idea, right?
Bro, AI is giving me all shitty shit, bro. It's not even for persistent homology, somehow I don't remember what I was trying to refer, but most of the time it just leads me to whatever I don't want to look for. Oh yeah, I remember what I was looking for. It was for automata and Markov chains. And the paper it gave, right, it said, okay, whatever you're looking for is called a probabilistic automata. Okay, cool. I looked at the paper it was talking about, and it didn't make sense to me at all. Not to say that a paper is bad, but it's not a good starting point.
Yeah, it isn't your...
Yeah. So Unless I know, like now that I know that it's probabilistic automata, I can look it up and I can check it, it's fine. Until then, I can't do anything. So that's the issue. If I don't describe it well, then I come across a paper that I don't understand in the first place. So I can't confirm if it's the same thing as what I want.
How do people in academia solve this?
How do you?
How do people in academia actually like?
It's very common where people like come up with the exact same shit independently. So
Does it happen often in academia?
and like it's like if like whatever we're coming up with is popular enough in the next 100 years, then there'll be enough material for people to be like, oh, this is the same shit, and like two people made the same shit. So if you're calling it a different name and like shit, then it's all fine. At least for like centuries or something. So because we need to, here's the like general goal, right? We have persistent homology, we learn it, we figure out how to implement MNIST because it's a vector space, right? So it should be the same. The only problem is it's a big vector space, and what I've heard is that persistent homology has been like applied to it, not for finding the dimensionality of it, but I've heard that in such big dimensions, right? Like it's 58 by 58 now. I've heard that in such big, dimensions, the Euclidean distance between all these points is like pretty much the same. So the issue is that every point is the same distance from every other point. So it's as good as like, completely spaced out space. There is no, it's like, yeah, so if everything is equally spaced out, then at a certain value of R, all my points are going to become completely connected. So yeah, I don't get any like whatever structure I'm trying to find, I don't find it. So that's an issue. That's why we're going with the resistant homology approach, which may or may not work. Because again, if they're all equally distant, then it may not make a difference. But in any case, resistant homology sounds like a useful enough thing, so if we code it, it's good enough.
Yeah.
We'll get to that far.
Do a trial run.
Yeah?
I can do a trial run, like write the code for it. If
Yeah.
paper, then I'll have a better idea.
Exactly. That's exactly our goal for like
I need
a
to find
couple.
a paper first.
Yeah, we need a paper. So this is a paper I first read. For me, it's like Math E, so like it helped for that. There's another talk by I forgot who gave the talk. Some Khan guy. I'll send that link also. So his talk is like really great because it's from like a very abstract math POV.
Okay.
So like that's fucking awesome. But and it was like what I told you sounds pretty hand wavy, right? It's like, okay, how do I even tell how far a given point is from another point? Because if I say that, like if I like say, oh, my data is like has some spatial structure, it's almost as if I'm only giving it that structure, right? So it's like there's this dilemma, like, okay, if I have a data set and it looks like a donut, how can I be sure that I didn't like impose that torus or donut structure on it? So that was my initial like issue, and then like I read this I not read this paper, I watched that talk, and like that made a lot more sense. We're learning about incident matrices, right? Do you remember, like graph theory these days, right? So the interesting thing is, the thing that they use is like an incidence matrix. However, instead of having like a vertex and an edge, you consider an n-dimensional edge. So like a two-dimensional edge is a face, a three-dimensional edge is a volume.
Okay.
So you instead have like rows of like volumes or like higher dimensional, like a 4D edge or like a 5D edge. You can put any ND edge, but the point is like when I increase my simplex, right, from a 2D simplex or a 3D simplex and so on, then in some sense that edge, like my 1D edge gets upgraded to a 2D edge, or my 2D edge gets upgraded to a 3D edge. So that because of that upgrade, initially the edge disappears, and so whatever disappears in the lower case, like say I have the incidence matrix of like edges and vertices, and then next to it I have the incidence matrix of faces and vertices, and volumes and vertices. So if I have all of these side by side, when it pops up in when it like disappears from one, it should pop up in the other. When it disappears from the other, because like my edge is getting upgraded to this thing, right? So it gets upgraded from a 1D to a 2D. So it ceases to be a 1D thing and then starts being a 2D thing. So because of that, like it stops being 1D, right? So once it becomes a two-dimensional object, that old 1D object that it used to be is no longer exists. It's basically like, huh?
I lost you on the last part. Could you repeat?
Basically, what I mean to say in a nutshell is like I have an edge and vertex matrix, our original incidence matrix. I have our face wala matrix, and then I have our volume wala matrix. For basically, when my the balls or like the open balls increase in radius, then when any two balls are like intersecting, then you join an edge, right?
Yeah.
When any three balls are intersecting, you intersect all. You join all edges, so you form a face. And the higher you increase. Yes, tell me. What?
Got it.
Yeah, so like it's basically getting upgraded from the moment the third point is also close to all of it and they all overlap. It upgrades from a 1D object to a 2D object. Similarly, if I have a fourth point, like I have a triangle here, right, and I have a fourth point over here, their radiuses all intersect, and then suddenly I have a tetrahedron, and so that's a 3D object.
Yeah.
For a 4D, like say I have 5 points now, that 5D simplex whatever is embedded in 5D space, not 5D, 4D. But we don't care about that, because if I can express it in like terms of those incidence matrices, then basically I'm just doing linear algebra again.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is how these, like this incidence matrix maps to the next incidence matrix over time. And like that, so on.
It goes on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's why this, what do you say? Wait, why were we talking about this again? Yeah, I was talking about why incidence matrix is like relevant to us, right? So that's why. So, besides that, in resistant homology, same shit only. Then a third option is, what do you say? We have persistent homology and it considers the Euclidean distance between, like the radius that's increasing. It's a Euclidean distance, right? If I consider any other metric, so I can have a generalization of that. So I can have like,
can we choose?
huh? So we can choose.
What's the other metric?
It doesn't. There's no clear reason why we should choose something like a hyperbolic or spherical metric. We can just for the fuck of it. But the hope is that, like, you know, like they say that the distance, all those points become equidistant in higher dimensions, right?
Yeah.
That's an issue. We're hoping that if we put one of these, any of these matrices, any of these metrics, then maybe it's not going to have that same equidistant validation. It's far-fetched, but what do you say? Out of this, we have 3 new kinds of homology, right? We have persistent homology. We will learn to implement it. Then we will have like resistant homology, and we'll have what do you say? Just a generalized homology for like other metrics.
Right.
And so we'll basically be inventing these 3. And even if it doesn't work for MNIST, we can at least formalize these, and we can use it on MNIST. If it works or doesn't work, that's an whole issue on its own. But at least we need a paper to show that it doesn't work, because that's also useful. Showing that something fails is also important. So that's also a valid paper. So, because that's basically what persistent homology papers are doing now, right? They're showing that persistent homology fails for MNIST.
Yeah, this case and that case. Right.
Yeah, so it's equally irrelevant. So if we fail, it's still relevant. As long as we implement it right. because we need to be sure that persistent homology fails for this. That's it. So we'll.
How do you say, prove that it fails for MNIST?
So we will run it on MNIST and we'll see if we get any useful info. We don't need to prove it because MNIST is just a chosen data set, right? It's an arbitrary data set. I've chosen MNIST like that. Like I've given MNIST to my homology shit, and like it's gonna try to tell me if it's any useful info about it or not. If it gives me any useful info, I'll be like, okay, it's a success. If it gives me the same info as persistent homology or like it doesn't give me any useful info, then it's the same as a failure. So that's it. We'll conclude the meeting here because next time we will either discuss like videos to watch or like places where we can learn to code persistent homology, or we'll just turn up with the code, okay, directly. Either of those. How?
We can give an attempt on forcing it on code.
Brute forcing what exactly?
The code. Like we can route out it.
But brute forcing how exactly? Like what do you mean to brute force
But I
MNIST?
can just make it like, let's try directly implement it.
Yeah, fair.
About the code, right?
Right. Chalo. We'll meet next week. Depends. I think CIs are coming up, right?
Yes, no, we come there.
Yeah, it's coming in like a week.
Next week, we'll have a
Anyways, this shit is chill only. I just wanted to get this so that we can work on this in our own time.
Send me the other one as well.
The talk, no?
If you find one for the other one.
So like the talk I was mentioning, right?
Yeah.
In that it actually shows the homology aspect of it. So homology is something from like really pure math. It's part of